back to the Senior Focus. I'm Nick Kaltsis. I'm here with Senator Mike Moore. We're having a spirited discussion about the fiscal cliff and spending and revenue.
Well, the cliff's over. Now it's the ceiling.
You know, I don't even think the cliff is over. I think that we're going to revisit another fiscal cliff.
Well,
the reason
maybe.
the reason there was a fiscal cliff to begin with is because of the debt ceiling. We reached the debt ceiling, and then there was, you know, the prospect of, you know, you don't cut spending, we don't balance the budget, not balance the budget, but we don't
Right.
like come into, you know, some kind of curative action on the budget. We're going to go to the fiscal cliff, so they say, okay, we're going to avoid the fiscal cliff. I think they say, okay, we're going to kick the can down the road, and I think even before they reached agreement on the fiscal cliff, who's the treasurer? The treasurer of the United States indicated we've reached the debt ceiling.
Oh, Girton? Timothy Girton?
Yeah, there's no more money. So I don't think that it's going to be very long. I think there are 2 months where they can, we'll say, creatively fund the expenses. But you know, come March 1st, there's going to have to be some kind of deal, understanding, agreement reached between the parties. And you take a look at, you know, the people that are leading the federal government, they don't want to cooperate with each other.
Are you talking? Now you're talking Congress and government, everyone.
Everyone,
Okay.
everyone. You got the Republicans on one side, you got the Democrats on the other side. I mean, you know, maybe Tip O'Neill didn't see eye to eye with Ronald Reagan, but you know what? They got things done.
Well, you know, it's funny. It's funny. Over school break, I think it was in April, my wife and I took our kids down to D.C. And Congressman, we actually toured Congress, and Congressman Neal actually showed up, and he spoke to everyone. There was a large group, maybe 20 or 30 people that they seated, and he had been talking about over his 20 years in office how many years ago you had Republicans, Democrats, they would go out to dinner together,
Right.
they would play golf,
Right.
they'd do things together, and they actually built friendships.
Right.
Where today there's no interaction.
Yeah, they're like seen as the enemy. I don't get it.
And why I brought that up is for this fiscal cliff negotiation, I thought of the statements that he had talked about and how we had the Vice President Biden and Mitch McConnell,
Right.
who
And
had been,
apparently our
who had been
buddies.
long-term
Right.
friends. And you put them in the room together, they were able to sit down, they could work out a compromise. So I think we have to, everyone can say, you know, Congress is not working together,
Right.
but you got to look who you're electing. If you're electing someone who's running that I'm not going to compromise, I'm not going to do this,
Yeah.
then
Well, you know,
you've gotten a government that you want.
I agree. You know, so now I'm going to ask you, why did we vote out Scott Brown and elect Elizabeth Warren when Scott Brown had basically a 50-50 record? He voted half of the time with one party, voted half of the time with the other party, didn't necessarily align himself with one party or the other. When I see Elizabeth Warren, I think of a demagogue, an ideologue who's going to vote the party line.
But you don't know that yet. That was the campaign ads put out. Now you got to remember now too is you had certain votes that our former U.S. Senator made, that there were women votes that were made that didn't resonate very well with the women voters. I mean, you just can't look at it and say he voted 50% here, 50% here, because there's lots of votes that, okay, I'm going to vote with the opposite party, but I know we're going to lose that vote, so it's a wasted vote.
There is one thing that I know. The senior senator from Massachusetts is going to be a senator who is only serving her first few days. And I think, I just, you know, I think
Well,
that's
that's
frightening.
Well, you are right there that with the, hopefully with the speedy appointment of John Kerry
Yep.
to this new position, we are going to have 2 United States senators, and again, we don't know who the second one
Right.
will be, who are going to be low in the ranking order as far as experience there.
You know, I do want to go back there, but I did first, before I run out of time, try to get people to understand the numbers that we were talking.
Okay.
Trillions of dollars here, billions of dollars there. Spending cuts, which I don't think we spoke about. What are they? Recent spending cuts, $38 billion, right?
Yep.
Let's analyze. I received an email. And the email says, okay, let's try to break it down to a household level so that people understand. Annual family income, $21,700. But the family spent $38,200. So they had to put $16,500 on their credit card, even though they already had existing credit card debt of $164,000. But not to worry, because the family decided, hey, we need to, take care of the spending. We need to cut our spending, so they cut $38. That, ladies and gentlemen, is what our country is doing to us. I mean, I think these are frightening numbers. You take a look at, and this is where I suppose the more liberal side of me will come out, right? You take a look at the revenue deal that they struck, right? People earning over $400,000, or a couple earning over $450,000.
A couple 450,000,
Yeah.
a single 400,000.
All right, so, okay, I mean, I don't think that is going to affect but a very small percentage of the population. At the same time, they extended in perpetuity the estate tax rates.
And the alternative.
$5.12 million, $5,120,000 before there's a federal estate tax. I mean, I think that's travesty. And there's portability of the estate tax exemption. So if one spouse doesn't use the exemption, the other spouse can, and now the exemption amount rises up to about $10.25 million. The amount of people who are going to have to contribute into the federal government and the spending for our country as a result of, the passing of wealth from one generation to the next, it's going to be infinitesimal. The tax increases that they agreed upon might fund the government with that here for like 8 days.
Well, again, it goes back to again, like you were saying, as far as kicking the can down the road, it's going to go back to what they negotiate in the second part of this negotiation.
I
Which is
can't wait to see what they do.
But the concern is, I think I think again affects the economy, is the rhetoric you're hearing that from certain people and again, I'll say, I guess on both sides, that I am not compromising. Well, that is a problem.
I agree.
Yes, you have to have your bargaining position. Yes, you have to know what you're going to push and make your choices. But if you're not going to make any choices and just say, here's the black line, I'm not going over it. How do you get to that? How do you allow?
I agree.
How do you allow the person you're sitting across the table to get to his black line?
There needs to be compromise, basically, on everyone's part that's in Washington, so that this can be taken care of. But in any event, Senator Moore, thank you for joining me today.
Thank you.
Nice discussion.
Nice seeing you.
Hopefully everyone understands a little bit more about the fiscal cliff, and we'll tune in next week for more Senior Focus.